I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Good evening. It is Tuesday, October 20th. And welcome to the show. Got a good show tonight. Putting out this disclaimer right now. Some things that may be said may be a little touchy. People may feel a certain way. We're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. If you're kind of touchy on subjects, you may want to go do something else, because what we're going to talk about tonight is going to be something I've kind of been trying to put it off, but it just constantly stays in the media. So we're going to be getting into a lot of touchy subjects, and it is what it is. Maybe changing the show to the No PC show, because you get tired of holding back on all of the nonsense. But first thing we want to do tonight, as always, we want to advertise some businesses. And first business that we're going to have up tonight will be Kevin King, Character, spoken word. He's got a CD out, I Am Character. Go get the book. It's a great book. It's full of poetry. You will be entertained. There's information on the screen. Remax, all your needs in real estate, residential. Call Rochelle Millsap. She can help you. I'm the owner and operator of RPC Computing. RPC is your PC. Repairs, upgrades, consultations. We're located in Lansing, 773-416-2955. And finally, King Cubby Kid Daycare, taking from ages of 6 weeks to 12 years old, located in Chicago, Illinois, 8825 South Colfax. Give Barbara King a call. What we want to talk about today, and like I say, it's going to be touchy for some, but it's this whole Bill Cosby thing. And so, and you know what? We're just going to jump right into it, because I want to make sure we get everything out the way before we get deep into the discussion.
Hey, 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 it's Fred Albert, and I'm going to sing a song for you. And Bill's going to show you a thing or two. You'll have some fun now with me and all the gang, learning from each other while we do our thing. Gonna have a good time.
It's Bill Cosby coming at you with music and fun, and if you're not careful, you may learn something before it's done. So let's get ready, okay? Hey, hey, hey!
Recently, Ebony Magazine has decided to put out the cover that you're now looking at, and it hasn't been released yet, but I imagine it'll be released in the next week. And it's showing Bill Cosby, and I showed that clip because a lot of us grew up with Bill Cosby and the lessons we learned from Fat Albert and the gang, and the lessons we learned from his show, and the upstanding character that he seemed to put out on the screen, and he was America's dad. And the question tonight is the deeds of a good bad man, and it's kind of a play on words because none of us can say that rape is a good thing. It's a horrible thing. It should never happen under any circumstances. I'm thinking back during the time when a lot of these allegations were alleged. There was this thing called the casting couch. Now there are 45 women that came forward, and I sat down and I read, the synopsis of all their different testimony. Maybe half we could throw out. I can't really say, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But some of the circumstances were along the lines of the casting couch. You can help my career. There were parents putting their kids in this man's way. There were producers funneling these women with hopes and dreams of being a part of Hollywood, funneling him to this man. So I hold them all as accountable for the actions. Maybe if the drugs weren't involved, people would look at it a different way. But when you bring drugs into your interactions with women, then that becomes a whole different thing. We got Gloria Allred, who is I like to call a pit bull whenever she gets her teeth into something, heading up this whole prosecution for uh, Bill Cosby. The only thing I didn't like about the judicial thing, and I'll get this out because it's a thin, slippery line, and if they'll do it in this case, they'll do it in other cases to give what they perceive as justice. We all know OJ's not in jail for trying to get back some memorabilia and some trophies, stuff that might have been worth a few $100s. He's not in jail for that. We all know why he's in jail. We all know why they tore down his mansion and everything. Let's not play the games. When a judge decides I'm gonna change the rules, and I'll read you what he said when he unsealed sealed records, and they're sealed for a reason, and they're not supposed to be unsealed. But a federal judge said one of the reasons he unsealed the court documents in which Bill Cosby admits he gave women drugs before sex is because of the disconnect between the comedian's upright public persona and the serious allegations against him. The stark contrast between Bill Cosby, the public moralist, and Bill Cosby, the subject of serious allegations concerning improper and perhaps criminal conduct, is a matter as to which the Associated Press, and by the extension of the public, has a significant interest. Judge Eduardo Robrino wrote in a memoriam Monday. The documents were released after a request from the Associated Press. There's unsealing, and then there's unsealing and just putting it out to the world. That sounds like a clear violation, and it's amazing when people will justify. That seemed like a personal reason to me that I'm just going to do this. And what bothers me is do it for everybody. If you're going to start behaving and changing your judicial positions, there's a million Caucasians and others that have gotten away with things over and over again. And this doesn't negate the subject of Bill Cosby and what he did, but we're constantly dependent on this judicial system to be fair when it comes to black people, and it's not, and it bends the rules, and it protects its own, and it's set up on a whole different scale. Back to Cosby. The man was in a position of power, and this is what happens. It's a lot of rapists and other things that go on when you got these young impressionable women wanting to be a part of Hollywood. A lot of them spoke of he offered to mentor them, to help them to get somewhere. And like I say, there were people funneling these women into it. Some of the things happened while on shooting sets. A lot of them happened when they were invited to his hotel room. There were a few that were even spending the nights, and there was one or two that said they were in actual relationships with Mr. Cosby. I feel most sorry for his wife Camille, because I do believe that Camille might have known a few things, but for whatever reason, she decided not to speak up. That's their merits and what they want to do. But when in the deposition, it mentions that Bill and and a lot of times when you're in court and you're talking and you listen to stuff, the wording is very careful. So we only got a little clip of when you bought these drugs. Was it for the intent of having sex with young ladies? And he answered yes. Now that's one statement, but you don't know what the other statements are. The most incriminating statement would be that he said he did give them drugs, which we're not privy to that because we haven't seen the whole deposition. Like I say, it's you get to court, you'll find the wording of stuff is what convicts you. So my thing here is, and I'm not trying to absolve Mr. Cosby of anything. The thing I want to talk about tonight is Bill Cosby has done a lot for the black community, donating over $70 million to historically black colleges and universities, among other things. And he has stood up and said some things. And here's the thing, and it's probably, and you agree or you don't agree. If I got caught doing a crime, that doesn't change the truth of what I'm saying. If I'm saying you need to pull your pants up, then you need to pull your pants up. I don't get caught care if I got caught doing this, or this. Pull your pants up. It doesn't change that. It doesn't change the fact that you may be the problem in your own life. It doesn't change the fact that you may be the problem in your neighborhood. So let's not get so high and mighty because, oh, well, you got caught. Society builds you up, society tears you down. And who knows what enemies Bill has made in that arena of Hollywood. That's a fairy tale land. So, and a lot of people want us to tear down our leadership. He's not the first leader to get caught. Didn't Jesse Jackson have a baby's mama? Didn't Jesse Jr. get caught doing some things? His wife is going to jail today. We have to hold our leaders accountable in a way that we want to hold them accountable, because these people in America, they don't hold nothing accountable but they checkbooks. And you see all this stuff. If he did a crime, then he needs to go to jail. But guaranteed, he's not going to get a contract like Martha Stewart, uh, with all her behind the scenes stockbrokering moves to make more money. And she's going to get out, and she got out and got another multi-million-dollar deal. This is the hypocrisy of America. I'm really not going to tear down Bill Cosby. I don't know what he did. What he did do, he should pay for it. We're not absolving anybody from situations of taking advantage and raping women and things like that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, do sometimes the deeds of a person outweigh the evil. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here. We hear all these stories, and people will come out like when Malcolm X found out Elijah fathered these six children, and he had to go to the scriptures and read the scriptures and find some resolution that would make sense to him, but it never made sense to him, and that's why the rift started in the nation, because morally he was let down by Elijah. Elijah had built something great, and Malcolm had helped him build it to a higher point. So at that point, was it supposed to be destroyed because of the infidelity of this man? We read in the Bible about David and Bathsheba, who was the wife of Uriah, and how David, he did some bad things. He basically set this man up, was sending him out to fight, sleeping with the man's wife, impregnated the man's wife, tried to trick the man into sleeping with his wife so he would think the baby was his. And when the man wouldn't do it, he put him on the front line in danger, and the man was killed. And then he married the man's wife. But we're taught that God felt that he was after his heart, and he forgave David. In our own personal lives, we all know we've done some things that we probably don't want nobody to find out about. So we can't be high and mighty and throw a lot of stones here. And only you know what you did. And nobody's asking you to put what you did in the comments. You know what you did. You know, it's just that point in the world that the corruption and the narrative that really kills me, just like the narrative of all these men that were beaten, put into prisons, and beat into giving these confessions, and 20, 30 years later they're released, and it's on, you only get, oops, I'm sorry, oh, you wasn't working no way, you wasn't gonna make no money, so we give you $400,000 for 30 years of your life. But you can't get another job because you still listed as a felon, and now you don't have any skills or anything anyway. So you're probably gonna be back in the system. The hypocrisy of that. We had this Burgess dude here in Chicago beating people for years. They've released over 20 people already on account of this guy, and this guy, I believe, is still getting a pension. It's the hypocrisy of the where they're trying to say whatever you do is 10 times worse than whatever we've ever done. Let's not excuse America of the most atrocious thing that ever happened on this planet, and that's the enslavement of black people. Hope y'all are watching Roots this week on TV. I personally watch it 2 or 3 times a year myself on my own personal collection. So, Bill, definitely wrong. We're not absolving this. There were some places saying these universities and things should give back the money. Give it back for what? You ain't giving it back. Your institution's not giving it back. And we will be doing a discussion on historically black colleges and universities, and the funding that they get from a lot of federal government places, and how there's a certain amount of control that's added into there. Give the money back for what? Black people have a hard enough time as it is trying to get money to go to school, to try to work our ways into your system that you've got in place to keep us from getting anywhere. Turn down the money for what? Bill Cosby has left over $70 million to Spelman, Morehouse, Fisk, and other organizations. Yeah, a lot of people got mad because he got up on stage and morally declared this, and this, and this. It's still true. It doesn't make a difference who said it. It's still true. If you out there selling drugs and doing stuff in your neighborhoods and not trying to uplift yourself and uplift your people, yeah, then it is a problem. And it don't make a difference if the devil himself came and said it. It's still a problem. There's a scene in that movie, what's it, the Devil's Advocate, where he tells him at the end, I didn't put that gun in your hand. I told you to go home to your wife. You chose this. Just because the devil was saying it, it wasn't true. The devil made you do it. I know I done did some things in life, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I haven't. But I know other things. It doesn't make a difference what I've done, the corrections I've made in my life. Maybe you need to make some corrections in your life. Bill Cosby definitely needs to make some corrections in his life. I don't know how he can turn this around, or should he just sit in on the sidelines now and not have anything else to say? Uh, Truly, I don't think he's going to be convicted, even though they tried to bring out a case. Like Gloria Allred is going hard, and I hate to say that this woman will even stoop to lying to get her point across or to do whatever, because that's her main purpose and goal is to bring down Bill Cosby. She wants some monetary efforts in there, and that's what she hasn't been able to get yet. But she's recently dug up another case, supposedly from 2008, of an incident. So we'll see how that works out, and she's using that to be able to do a second deposition of Bill Cosby. More power to her. Knock yourself out. If the man did these things, as you said, there were 45 people. I read through all 45 of them. If I was sitting on a jury, probably 20 to 25 would be thrown out. The stories were just too out there for me personally, and there were people hoping to move up in Hollywood and get positions in Hollywood, and that doesn't sit well when that environment at that time. There was a lot of casting. It wasn't didn't happen just then. It was happening way before. Marilyn Monroe was notorious for having been slept her way around the studio to get movie roles and to move up, and she was not the only one. And I think there's a documentary out there where a lot of people talk about it's a known culture that you may have to do some things in order to get on the latest video or to get in this new picture or get your face out there. Doesn't absolve anybody from anything. If you go and you put yourself in a situation like that, knowing, I think Tandy Newton told of an episode where she was kind of presented with something where the producer and things were in the room and asked her to open her legs up and say these lines and pretend that she's engaged with this person in the scene. And she thought it was kind of strange, but there was another female in the room, and nobody pulled her leg onto this. And it turned out that same freaky producer kept up that clip for his own personal pleasures, showing it at parties and things like that. And she felt had in high thought, she was like, "Well, I was 18. I was kind of naive. I kind of put myself in a situation. I learned from that because people started pulling my coattails." Those people that were directing these girls are just guilty as Bill. So I'm not going to absolve anybody from it. It's a shame. The editor of Ebony was on Wendy Williams yesterday. I think her name is Kerna Mayo, and she kind of put it out there why they decided to do this book cover, and put it out there because, just like I say, nobody wants to talk about it. We keep a lot in the black community. We keep a lot hidden, from molestations, from criminal activity. A lot of stuff we do, and we hide it from ourselves. So, on that note, I vented. I got it all out. There's one other thing I want to do. I wanted to share this with you all. A couple of pages. Subscribe. Go to our channel, the show on YouTube. Subscribe. We're trying to get the subscriptions up. You can see all the previous videos that we have uploaded out there. They are there and available for you to see. Click on the video, click on the subscribe button. We would appreciate it. There is a page on Facebook, Straight Talk No Chaser, Intellectual Radio, Real Ray. She does great videos, similar to what I do. She does a little different, but everybody's going to be a little different. Support this sister. Go out and check out some of her stuff. Of course, we do the radio broadcast Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily. Friday nights are our mix night. Wednesday nights from 10 to midnight is our slow jam session. Check us out at the show.listentomyradio.com. You can go to the Apple Store or the Play Store and download the Listen to My Radio app and just look up the show. We appreciate all these businesses that you can go out and support. On that note, we're going to end it like we always end it. Love, peace, soul. We out of here.
Okay, let's talk about Ebony Magazine. Well, the latest issue of Ebony Magazine is causing quite the controversy. It features that shattered picture of the cast of The Cosby Show. It's time for the inside scoop. Hit it! No, you're not. You know what? You are the bravest woman I know at this particular point.
Thank you.
Please welcome the editor-in-chief of Ebony Magazine. Her name is Kierna Mayo. Don't throw tomatoes. Okay, Kierna.
Yes.
People are furious about this cover.
People are furious about the cover. I understand that. There's also a whole bunch of accolades for the cover right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's a dividing issue. We decided that we had to take this conversation to the public stage. It's something that, quite frankly, Black people have been talking about for a long time.
Bill Cosby?
We've been talking about Bill Cosby. We've been talking about the impact on the Cosby Show.
Right.
We've been talking about how this affects Black families and the dynamic, the depiction of Black families. I mean, it's a larger conversation. Also, you know, Ebony is in the tradition of creating conversation. A lot of people don't understand that in a modern context, but Ebony's 70 years old. And this is hardly the first controversial topic we've taken on.
I don't recall anything being more controversial than this, because back in the 60s and 70s, to put the Black Panthers on the front cover, that was not as controversial as this. This is like, a lot of people would say, a tear down of a Black family.
Well, here's the thing, and I have to keep repeating this. Ebony is not the reason we're having this conversation.
Okay.
We have to get real.
Okay.
We have to get real. Okay.
So, why is it so hard? And this is almost rhetorical, but I want to hear what you say. Why is it so hard for people to separate the Cosbys and the Huxtables?
It's a sensitive thing for us. I mean, first of all, in 1983, 1984, when this show came about, we were coming off of the crack 80s, right? And it was important to show Black life in this respect. We needed to see this construct. We needed to understand that upper Black middle-class people really do exist. We live in brownstones. Our kids go to college, right? But since that time, I think, understand that Black respectability, as we'll call it, this idea that if we button up right, all of a sudden racism goes away, just isn't real. And I think we need to begin to confront some of the things that, you know, are the truth of our lives here as Black people in the country.
I still think that many of us, though, as Black people, like to sweep things under the rug.
Yes.
We like to sweep molestation under the rug, drugs, drink, woefully in denial.
Well, I think all people have problems showing their darker sides, right?
Yes.
No pun intended. But the concern for Black people is that we always feel like we're under the lens of others, and we want to make sure that no one is seeing us outside of the way we wish to be seen. And I think this is why there's all the controversy. I think this is why there's all the pushback. But quite frankly, we are just asking a question. We're not making much of a statement. We're simply saying, what do you think? What do you see? How broken is this for you? We didn't create the fracture. The fracture existed.
Yeah. Now, you're the face of this entire situation. Are you rolling with security?
You know, listen, when I stepped outside my house this morning, I did this and I did that.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm convicted, and I feel like we are right.
Twitter backlash, what's going on?
Twitter backlash is being confronted by Twitter accolades. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of support, a lot of people saying, you're so brave, Ebony's so brave. Thank you, the time is now, it's needed, it's necessary. I understand and I'm sensitive to black people, all black people, even those that hate this cover.
Right.
But I think it's important to keep being journalists at Ebony Magazine and to keep being at the center of the conversation.
It's good, it's
Thank
good.
you, Wendy.
Now, I think that The Cosby Show should still be seen in reruns because it was a great show. What do you think?
You know, I'm wrestling with that. I have a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old. I think about how to look at this without seeing the accusations. It's difficult for me. I'm still very much on the fence. Really? I do feel that the actors around Bill Cosby deserve to earn money. They deserve to have residual income. But the question is, can you separate it? I can't personally separate the two. When I look at Dr. Huxtable,
No, I can't either.
Still see
I can't either because
the allegations.
One of the things about Cosby is that it wasn't called the Huxtable Show; it was called the Cosby Show. So he dragged his personal life into it, and then he did do a lot of speaking out against music and music culture.
Oh,
you know, telling our boys, "Pull your pants up."
Yeah.
Mr. Cosby, pull your pants up. And so I watched The View on Friday.
Yeah.
And Malcolm Jamal Warner was on. Raven Simone is there as one of the hosts.
Oh.
They said that they disapprove of the cover. Look, Raven's like, And
I'm like, Raven.
So what are your thoughts on them disapproving of the cover?
Right. Well, I didn't really, the takeaway for me wasn't that Malcolm completely disapproved. I felt that he felt it was loaded and that he couldn't really unpack it in that amount of time. It's uncomfortable, and that I get.
Yeah.
With Raven, I'm not really, I don't even really want to respond to much of what Raven's been talking about these days. And really.
Well, power to the people, right on.
Power to the people, right?
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me and allowing this conversation. It's an important one.
Kierna Mayo, very provocative. Ebony Magazine, everybody, hits newsstands now. Okay.